Inheriting this mesmerizing clustering from her aunt adds a layer of mysterious history to the jewelry. The ring featured a captivating mix of white, yellowish brown, and blue green diamonds. The ring offered a distinct period contrast to the three principal stones, which added to the ring's allure.
Stones. The diamonds themselves are cushion-shaped Victorian cut stones, and I think they were probably cut in maybe around about 1900 or 1905 at the very latest.
Assessing the value of fancy colored diamonds is quite challenging due to the subtle nuances in color.
What you have to do with them is to send them off to a laboratory where they will actually issue a certificate stating exactly what the color is.
How much would the appraiser estimate the value of the rare diamond ring?
Hopefully at least £2,500 to £3,000, but it could very well be worth £5,000 with all the right gradings.
Well, that's very good news. Thank you.
This woman shared the fascinating story behind a treasured family heirloom, a remarkable 18-karat gold watch with a musical feature dating back to around 1830. The guest's father inherited this watch from his grandfather, and the guest is next in line to inherit it. The watch boasts intricate craftsmanship.
The watch was made in France. What's really wonderful is this face on it, or the dial of the watch, and we have an early American flag on there, so.
It plays music in two different ways.
Play music on the hour, if you wanted it to, and then there was a button that plays it on demand, and we're going to play this right now.
It also has exquisite details, such as a bullseye crystal and an engraved guilloche back. This French musical watch is valued at $15,000 to $20,000.
Wow, that is quite the shock. It's been in the safety deposit for like 20 years. So wow, that's great.
This magnificent jewelry item was gifted to the guest by her doting husband, who paid a steep price of a little over $3,000 for it. The name Tiffany sets hearts racing, but when a Tiffany piece is crafted by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself, it becomes priceless. Louis Comfort Tiffany was an American artist and designer and the first design director at his family company, Tiffany & Company. The Baroque-style necklace might have slight damage in one of its opals, but that doesn't detract from its beauty. This piece of 18th century history has made the guest one mighty rich lady with a fetching price of between $70,000 and $90,000.
Oh my God.
It's
You're
a
kidding
treasure.
me.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Say that again.
This guest shared the fascinating origins of these costume drawings.
When they were done with them, they'd throw them out, and she would go to the trash and just collect them.
The guest presented a trio, each depicting a Hollywood icon in the sketches, such as Elizabeth Taylor, Lucille Ball, and Rita Hayworth. The first piece, believed to be Elizabeth, has an estimated value of $300 to $500.
Because we have no identifying marks on that one to clearly identify it as Elizabeth, and her face is turned away.
Moving to the middle one, featuring Lucille Ball, the piece is valued between $800 to $1,200, reflecting Lucille's fame.
This one has some information on the back that identifies Rita and You Excite Me number. And down here we actually have Rita Hayworth.
The Rita Hayworth drawing stood out because of the vivid information at the back of the sketch.
We can see her face very clearly, and there's no doubt about it. What we don't know is which film this is from. It's also possible, which happens a lot, is that we see costumes like this, and maybe the scene that they were used for gets cut from the film.
This piece held a substantial value of $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow. For studio trash. Wow.
This painting of a scary-looking forest, as said by the owner, belonged to her mother. It is an oil painting of aspen trees done by Loren Mosley. Loren Mosley is known for his landscape and figure painting. He started painting at the age of 11, and is one of the founders of the University of Texas Department of Fine Arts.
This painting was done in 1947. It was exhibited at the Colorado Springs Fine Art Exhibition of Western artists in 1948.
The painting is titled at the back. The unique painting at auction would be worth about $30,000 to $50,000.
No,
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
This family heirloom emphasized the unique taste of this guest great-great-grandmother. This Edwardian-era ring boasts exquisite craftsmanship, with a platinum setting adorned with fine platinum dots surrounding a magnificent oval-cut sapphire flanked by 2 old European-cut diamonds. The appraiser revealed the interesting story of the sapphire's origin.
Most sapphires we see came from the Burmese region, so Myanmar, or Kashmir, which is the northernmost region of India.
The sapphire's origin, potentially from the coveted Kashmir region, adds to its rarity and beauty.
I really do feel it is a Kashmir sapphire. If it is not a Kashmir sapphire, it would be a Burmese sapphire, which is also a very beautiful stone.
If it's a Burmese sapphire, the value is ranging from $40,000 to $60,000. However, if it is indeed a Kashmir sapphire, the value has a possibility of reaching $100,000 to $150,000.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's quite something. Don't watch. I don't know what else to say.
Have you ever heard of the story of the beautiful Beatrice Cenci? Beatrice and her stepmother were continuously abused by her father, and they murdered him. She was a tragic hero who served as a source of inspiration to many.
She was both a heroine as well as a murderess.
An original painting of her was first done by Guido Reni.
Guido Reni, the artist of the original painting on which this is based, visited her.
I'm quite sure you think that this is a painting, but it's not. It's a micro-mosaic made by Luigi Moglia.
I was amazed that something made from stone or ceramic could actually look like a painting.
These are neither ceramic or stone. These are actually glass.
Ah.
The guest grandmother, who was an antique dealer, had collected this item.
And it used to be in her home. As long as I can remember growing up, it was in our home.
The Moglia signature can be seen on it. The Moglia family made a lot of artwork in mosaic, painting, and also jewelry. How much do you think this item is worth?
The art of micro-mosaic on this sort of scale, which is actually very, very large for a mosaic, is incredibly rare and incredibly exciting to find on Antiques Roadshow. I would think an insurance valuation of $85,000.
Cool.
This fascinating set of photo albums is a cherished souvenir from the Harriman expedition, once owned by the guest great-grandfather, a botanist. A notable aspect of these albums was the involvement of Edward Curtis, an American photographer and ethnologist whose career unfolded in the Northwest.
And was invited to become a member of this important expedition, so it was his first major assignment.
The Harriman expedition is focused on mapping Alaska's topography in scientific experiments. Astonishingly, the albums were presentation albums that contained original prints.
So these are actually original silver prints.
You're kidding.
Original silver prints with Curtis's signature down here in the negative.
These two pair of precious albums valued at $30,000 to $40,000.
Carry them gently, gently back to the house.
Comedian and actor Ronnie Chang brought his collection of career memorabilia to a movie he was part of.
Maybe it triggers dopamine or something, but it makes it hard for me to throw stuff away.
These items are related to a highly successful movie, Crazy Rich Asians, in which he played the role of Eddie Chang.
I was very lucky to be part of this movie, Crazy Rich Asians. Working on this movie was a life-changing experience, not just from a career point of view, but just the people I got to meet. Till today, we still talk every day. I just let them know I'm doing this.
The script and music sheet highlighted the unique annotations and personal connections to the film. The value of the signed music sheet was $750, and the script appraised at $1,500.
I should have kept more of these things. We had like 5 of these things in my trailer. I guess money does buy happiness.
It's not every day you get to see a painting by Clyde Connell on the show. Clyde was the guest mother-in-law's sister.
And they moved out to a very rustic cabin out on Lake Bistineau.
And she was a self-taught abstract expressionist. Here are a few of her abstract paintings. She also created some wonderful sculptures. This painting, titled Nightbirds in a Brown Tree, was done in a very personal abstract kind of style.
During the adjustment period from living in this very nice home outside of Shreveport into this very rustic cabin out on Lake Bistineau.
Her signature can be seen on it.
Based on the research I've been able to do, I'd say that a fair auction estimate on this would have to be in the range of between $4,000 and $6,000.
Under the right circumstances, according to the appraiser, the value could be many times higher than $6,000. This woman enthusiastically shared the fascinating story behind her inherited jewelry. The exquisite piece was acquired as part of an inheritance from her aunt.
Van Cleef & Arpels made this probably in the late 20s, and it was a dress clip.
Its magnificent combination of style added to the originality Art Deco design. But how much would this historically significant jewelry be valued?
I would say if you had to go to public auction, we'd estimate it $5,000 to $7,000.
No kidding.
So you've got a lot of value here.
Thank you.
The guest has a lot of childhood memories with this lamp, and it has been in her family for as long as she can remember. They would call it the brain lamp because of the way it looked. The stand is made of patinated bronze.
This is actually a turtleback tile iridescent glass.
Okay.
And at the bottom, the Tiffany studio mark can be seen. The lamp is circa 1910. In a retail market, the piece would sell for $30,000 to $40,000.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. Kathy, thank you so much. I can't believe it. Wow.
Horse equipment, once belonging to Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, was brought to the show by this guest, who purchased it for $400 in a small auction near Allentown, Pennsylvania. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis was the First Lady of the United States from 1961 to 1963 as the wife of President John F. Kennedy. The authenticity of the items was confirmed in a tag.
A woman named Joy had taken care of this horse, Amber Pigeon, who had belonged to Jacqueline Onassis.
There was also a photograph providing a captivating backstory to the horse blanket.
Jackie was photographed with the two kids. Jackie was on her horse, solo flight, and in the caption it says that John Jr. is riding Amber Pigeon.
The value of both pieces was...
I would estimate both pieces from $2,500 to $5,000 for your insurance value.
Would the guest sell it?
I put it on one of our horses, Tony, and he did look great in it, but I think I'm going to save it and maybe put it in a shadow box or do some kind of presentation where I can turn it into decor.
This guest brought his birthday present, gifted by the renowned sculptor Alexander Calder. During a visit to Europe at the age of 14 with his parents, they stayed at Calder's compound near Paris.
I was a 14-year-old boy getting around, and I happened upon his studio and peeked in and watched him working.
Alexander Calder presented him this sculpture as a 15th birthday gift.
Calder is one of America's leading sculptors of the 20th century. His father was a very prominent sculptor. He was an academic sculptor.
The piece is valued at $250,000 in a gallery setting.
Wow. Jeez, that's amazing.
This bell came from the ship captained by the guest father during World War II. The wartime actions of the HMS Havelock were crucial in the Norway campaign at Narvik.
In the Norway campaign, and that, of course, was a very crucial action. One of the first attempts to stop the Germans spreading through Europe.
The guest father kept a diary, providing a glimpse into the life at sea during that period.
And slipped at 21:15, out safely, lovely calm, clear light, 12 knots only.
How much is this bell valued?
I have to say we're looking at something like £800,000, possibly more, for a bell that is off a ship of great significance.
The woman described this peculiar vase as the ugly vase. The guest bought it from a Dutch dealer for $580 15 years ago. This vase is not a bizarre vase, but a fascinating modernist piece.
It has animal, it has bird, it has female figural.
It turns out to be crafted by the famous French artist Jean Cocteau.
Jean Cocteau was French, and he was a fine artist, a painter, a draftsman. He was also a poet.
This piece was also associated with Picasso's foray into ceramics.
Did this for longer, and he did over 600 different forms. Cocteau, who started in 57 and did that until his death in the 60s, did about 300 different forms.
Its uniqueness, pointing out detachable horns and notes, is an original addition from Cocteau's studio. The value of this vase is estimated from $10,000 to $15,000.
Sorry. That's fun for an ugly vase. Perfect.
This woman brought an antebellum slave journal to the show. Her father, a black history enthusiast, acquired it from a Nashville bookstore in the 60s. The $50 journal revealed a remarkable account of a slave named Creed, documenting the details of his life from 1824 to 1860.
Highlight, just as an example with Creed, that he had a family, the skills he had, and how they were utilized during his tenure as a slave.
The entries included Creed's roles as a slave.
Creed was the main gardener and market man, and even went to Washington, D.C. with Daniel Graham for a short period.
The estimated value of the document ranged from $15,000 to $20,000. What would be the owner's plan for this historically important journal?
Yes, I'd like to follow through and try and find the families of the slaves. From 1870 moving forward.
This unique sculpture was a gift from the guest's former mother-in-law during the mid-60s.
His name is Pulcino, and Pulcino means young chicken or chick.
This piece was created by sculptor Alessandro Pianone. He worked under the Vistosi Company in 1956.
He had already attended school to become an architect and designer, and he was hired to join the firm to design their company's logo.
The glass sculpture featured a charming 1960s chicken design, distinguished by its textured murine surface and spindly copper legs. The value of this whimsical sculpture was...
In a retail venue, this would sell in the neighborhood of $7,500.
Oh my goodness, that's a real shocker.
This oil painting the guest brought unveils an interesting background story about its painter. The guest sought pieces from black artists in which the art dealer recommended Helen LaFrance. The guest purchased the painting around 2015.
She didn't have any formal training as an artist and didn't begin painting full-time until she was in her mid to late 60s.
Her unique memory paintings captured rural Kentucky life.
My guess is that this painting was probably done in the early 2000s.
The painting is estimated to be valued between $8,000 to $10,000.
Wow. Okay. Good deal.
This eye-catching Liechtenstein pin was designed by Roy Lichtenstein in 1968. Roy is one of the founders of American pop art. This pin is a polychrome enamel designed using bold lines, primary colors, and Ben-Day dots.
In the back, in what we call an incised manner, you have Roy Lichtenstein in kind of a facsimile of his signature.
Ben-Day dots are small dots used in the printing process to create shading and texture. Roy Lichtenstein often included it in his artworks. How did the guest get it?
It's a Roy Lichtenstein pin. It was given to me in the 1970s by a very dear aunt and uncle who were collectors of California contemporary art.
The pin at auction is estimated to be between $4,000 to $6,000. Every manuscript by Israel Regardie offers a rare window into the evolution of modern esotericism, combining wisdom and history in a unique glimpse of occult thought's development. In possession of two such manuscripts, along with a personally annotated book, the owner inherited these treasures from their father, who in turn received them from their uncle.
Has the book plate here of your father.
My father, right?
And then this inscription reads, "For Mom and Dad, with love, Izzy."
Francis Israel Regardie, a significant figure in the early 20th century occult movement. Rigardi's association with Aleister Crowley within the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn adds further intrigue to these manuscripts, as he later published their once secret rites and rituals in his seminal work, The Golden Dawn. One manuscript, a partial draft of The Golden Dawn, offers insight into its creation, while the other reveals the evolution of a book title from Light in Extension to My Rosicrucian Adventure. And most importantly, their value is assessed at a retail price of a whopping $20,000 to $25,000.
My goodness, very nice.
The next item to be considered is a mosaic glass inkwell. The special piece has the signature and monogram of Tiffany Glass and Decorating Company. The founder, Louis C. Tiffany, is an American artist and designer widely known for his work in stained glass. This inkwell is a rare piece, made especially with inset small pieces of colored glass tiles.
One of the things that I've always noticed is that the color gradates. It's usually a little brighter at the top, and then it gets darker as it approaches the bottom.
Inside, it has both a bronze and glass liner as its container. The Tiffany Studios mosaic inkwell belonged to the guest's late aunt.
When she passed away, I asked for it and they let me have it.
For such a rare piece, it's worth.
Whether it's in a retail venue or in an auction venue, it's worth $15,000.
Whoa, goodness. Wow.
So,
it's a lot of ink.
Soapstone, also known as steatite, is a soft and easily workable stone. Artists often use it together with whalebone to create intricate sculptures of animals and human figures. You can see the creativity and craftsmanship that went into making this piece of art. It was made by Mark Tungalik. It is an Inuit stone musk ox sculpture made of soapstone, and the horns are made out of whalebone. The owner purchased it at a gift show for $800.
These pieces are selling now in the auction market for about $2,000 to $2,500.
Wonderful.
Had the guest known the value of this honeypot, she would have never have used it for storing umbrellas. Inheriting it from his great-grandmother, the guest's husband was warned by an appraiser once that it belonged in the Smithsonian. The pot is actually a piece of history, molded by the Craven family of potters who worked in Tennessee. The Craven family is one of the oldest and best-known names in American pottery, with roots going back to the 1700s. Being such a rare specimen with perfect workmanship, it would be priced at around $30,000 to $40,000. An extraordinary connection is forged between a student and his art professor, Clifford Still. This painting was given to the guest's husband, who was a Clifford student, as a housewarming present. Clifford Still has had quite an interesting career. He was an American painter and one of the leading figures in the first generation of abstract expressionists. He even had a museum named after him, where his unique arts are displayed. Let's shift focus to the painting itself, titled Grand Coulee Dam. It was created during the construction of a monumental dam in Washington. The painting is signed by Clifford and dated 1937 at the bottom of the painting. An insurance value for this piece would be a whopping $500,000. The treasure is not just in the basket, it is the basket.
I bought it in Northern California around the Eureka area, and I believe it was used for little trinkets maybe.
You can say it's a treasure used to store treasures. It was made by one of the greatest basket makers in North America. Her name is Elizabeth Hickox. Elizabeth has some unique trademarks. Her baskets were extremely finely woven, and the zigzags were always geometric.
Do you know what the yellow is?
I have no idea.
Believe it or not, it's porcupine quill.
Oh, very cool.
Very, very finely woven into the fabric of the basket.
Her work also features the little knob at the top of the basket. In a retail market, this basket would sell for about $5,500.
It's amazing.
It's the treasure is the basket, not just what's inside.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
An inheritance to remember. This lovely piece of artwork belonged to the guest's great-granduncle, who received it as an appreciation for letting the artist use his hotel as a studio. The piece was painted by the artist Joseph Stella. Stella was an Italian-born American painter, best known for his paintings of industrial America, particularly his images of the Brooklyn Bridge. This painting is said to have been made by Stella in 1925. It comes in its original frame, which not only preserves the painting, but also adds significant value.
This was a popular frame that was used by Georgia O'Keeffe and Arthur Dove. They loved this white gold and this real simplicity.
The appraiser values it to be about
I would appraise your painting for both insurance value and for if it were to sell in an art gallery at about $250,000.
Me.
Lucky to have this inheritance.
Well, thank you so much.
In 2022, the value rose to a whopping $550,000. What's your guess on the value today? Comments are open. The guest came along with an iconic collection of posters by the artist Peter Max.
They were a gift to my youngest son from my mother in about 1969 or 70. And he had them all over his room all through high school and college.
In 1969, Peter Max released a series of posters showcasing his signature bold color, cosmic imagery, and pattern.
But back in the 1960s, in sort of the twilight of the hippie era, his work was very, very mainstream, and it was loved by people.
He is popularly known for his vibrant and psychedelic artwork, which was quite popular during the 1960s. These posters are numbered in the lower right-hand corner. At auction, it's valued at $300 to $400. This one is valued at $400 to $600. The one numbered 4 is the most valuable.
The one next to you is the most valuable one, and at auction I would estimate it between $800 and $1,200.
Very nice.
In total, the collection is worth an estimated $1,500 to $2,200. Here is an art collection of Lionel Feiniger's works. Feiniger is a German-American painter and artist known for his artistic depiction of ships, cities, and streets. The guest got the collection from her parents, who were Feiniger's neighbors. The collection has a letter written for the guest as a baby, a watercolored painting that depicts one of his seascapes,
This was a birth gift that he gave to my parents.
a painting of woodcut attached to a letter,
A note he wrote to my grandmother and her second husband with one of his woodcuts on it.
and a painting of a series called The Ghosties. These beautiful collections were from his earlier works, which are in great demand. The seascape painting is signed and dated. At auction, its worth was between $15,000 and $25,000.
Because it's hand-coloured, it's going to be around about $5,000 to $8,000.
The painting of the Ghosties is estimated to be worth $15,000 to $25,000. The entire collection is worth.
And so all in all, it's going to be $40,000 to $60,000.
Wow, that's fabulous. Thank you very much.
This guest collected this item from his grandparents for just one reason.
This was one of them, and I like this one because he's a smith, and I'm a metallurgist by training, so I like metal work and so on. So this one particularly appealed to me.
It's a German pottery store gnome. Several companies in Germany made these pottery gnomes. They're very realistic and made in the German tradition.
And you can see many of the features you'd find in a German doll, in his face in particular.
It was made for decoration purposes and used as a store display. In the retail market,
It would sell for at least $1,500, and maybe as much as $2,000.
That's something.
the guest brings this inscribed book which belonged to her grandmother. The book, which is titled Poems and 7 Drawings, was written by the artist Maynard Dixon. Dixon was an American artist, known for his paintings, which focused on the American West. Only 250 copies of this book were made.
It's one of Maynard Dixon's scarcest works. He's a very sought-after Western painter, as we know.
Right.
It's a beautifully printed, limited edition.
The inscription on the book was made by Dixon to the guest grandmother, who was a dear friend. This limited edition book is valued at about
$2,500 to $3,000 range.
Oh, you're kidding.
This gorgeous table is a rare product of Louisiana furniture. Louisiana is known for its production of iconic furniture. The owner got it from his father, who purchased it for an amount between $10 and $20. He used it as a storage table for paint cans, and you can see the marks left on the table. The table was made from a cypress wood that is rot-resistant and durable. It has no dovetail, making it more like French furniture. There are rare brasses on it, which makes it typical Louisiana furniture. Despite the marks on the table, it's worth between $3,000 to $5,000 at auction.
Wow, a paint holder.
No,
Wow.
it's
no
not.
No more paint.
No more paint.
I can't thank you enough.
Her love for flowers and bright colors made this guest purchase this painting the minute she set her eyes on it.
For how much again?
It's about $1,400.
$1,400.
Yes.
Right.
It's a painting attributed to Franz Klein, believed to have been one of his early works in the 1930s or 1940s. His signature can be seen at the lower left of the painting. Franz Klein is a widely known abstract expressionist painter. Looking closely at the painting, you would notice the strong backlines used to make the decanter in the glass. This is what Franz Klein is known for. How much do you think this painting is worth?
At auction, as attributed to Franz Klein, I would put in it at $5,000 to $7,000 as a conservative estimate. If we got some stronger expertise as a work by Franz Klein, and it could bring $15,000 to $20,000 or more.
The owner of this item had a very sentimental story to tell about how this violin came to exist.
My grandfather was picking up coal with his brothers by the train track, and he slipped and fell, and the train cut his foot off.
Because of his disability, he quit being a bricklayer and learned how to make violins. Her siblings wanted nothing to do with this violin, so the guest got it from her mom. How much do you think this violin is worth? The violin is worth $12,000, while the bowl...
In the world of retail, I would value this bowl at $4,000.
Holy Hannah! Wowzer! Shut the front door, girl. Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a beautiful bowl.
Wow!
This exceptional object is an Asian guitar used for ceremonial purposes. It was forgotten in the house this lady and her family had moved into in Detroit. The guitar is a late 19th century Chinese example of a santian. It's a 3-stringed guitar. Young ladies play the instrument during tea ceremonies and banquets. The soundboard is veneered to a rosewood or a hongmu clad in snakeskin, and the string is fixed on a tropical hardwood. The fingerboard is inlaid with a stylized vase, floral sprigs, and a chubat at the top, and its tightening rod is designed with lotus leaves, and its ends and pods with ivory caps. These special attributes differentiate it from its 20th century version. It is interesting to know that the guitar would be worth between $3,000 and $5,000 at auction.
And an appropriate insurance value would probably be about $7,500.
Okay. Wow.
This lithograph was designed by Grant DeVolson Wood. It was passed down to the guest by her older sister.
And I think she purchased it in Iowa City when she was doing graduate studies there many years ago.
The lithograph was named Fertility, created in the year 1939, and published by the Associated American Artist Firm in New York. Grant Wood's signature can be seen on it. He is widely known for his painting, The American Gothic. He also made many different lithographs of rural people or Iowa cornfields. What is this Grant Wood painting worth?
A fair replacement value on this, or an insurance value, would be in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $12,000.
Oh my.
So
I'm very surprised.
Next up is this beautifully designed vase. The owner acquired it just because he thought it looked beautiful. It's a product of Overbeck Pottery, a company of 4 sisters from Indianapolis. The vase, just like others, has the OBK mark, which stands for Overbeck. This vase was produced in the late 19th to early 20th century when art and craft influenced Overbeck's productions. On the vase is an art of a man running in a striped suit with a pink sun shining through a tree behind him. The images of the tree are triangular, and it serves as a perfect example of a conventionalized design, which is a form of art and craft technique that uses geometric distillation of the original design.
Such a great example of their work. It's colorful, it's matte painted, it's hand thrown, it's tooled, it fired very well, virtually every side fired evenly, which is a technical achievement.
For an item purchased for just $4.99 by its owner, how much do you think it's worth at auction?
It would bring somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000.
Can't believe that.
The guest comes along with a folk art painting of Dartmouth College. Dartmouth College is a private Ivy League research college in Hanover, New Hampshire. It was established in 1769 by Eliezer Wheelock. Reed Hall is one of the oldest historic surviving buildings at Dartmouth. It was designed by Amy B. Young. It can be seen in yellow in this painting, although it is a different color now. Dartmouth Hall can also be seen in white in the painting. The painting would be worth an estimated $8,000 to $12,000 at auction. A piece with great sentimental value to its owner. This lamp belonged to the guest grandmother. The reverse-painted lamp was made by the company Pearpoint in the early 1900s. Only about 100 lamp designs were made.
And the design of your shade is called the Berkeley shade. Berkeley refers to the shape, which is this dome shape with this flared rim.
The surface is called chipped ice, as it was meant to look like a frost on a window pane. On the base of the lamp, there's the mark of the maker. There is some damage to this piece.
Loss of paint on the underside. Yeah. And then there's one chip to the edge. There is some corrosion on the metal stem of the lamp base.
In this state, the appraiser values it at about
$1,000 and $2,000. Okay. If it were in perfect condition, it would probably be more like $2,000 to $3,000. I see.
This piece found its way to the guest great-grandfather in the early 1930s. The painting was, however, done by none other than Hovset Pushman, a true talent in his prime. Hovset Pushman's journey began in the rich cultural tapestry of Armenia.
Pushman was born in Armenia and, in fact, studied in the Institute in Istanbul. His family later came to the United States, initially in Chicago. He traveled all over the world.
Pushman had a deep interest in Asian arts, mysticism, and spiritualism. Within the canvas, an Asian figure stands amidst the symbols of rebirth, a blossom and a fading rose.
With the blossom on the right, and also with the really delicately fading away rose in the small vase.
The guest further reveals letters from Pushman that provided insight into the artist's thoughts and the spiritual meaning behind the Persian book. The appraiser gives an auction estimate of $15,000 to $25,000 for this. However, acknowledging its unique attributes, its insurance value ranges from $50,000 to $75,000.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Our guest displays a one-of-a-kind clock that has been handed down through her family. Her grandfather owned a clock-making firm. When he died, this clock, amongst others, was sold. The father of the guest had to rebid to get the clock back into the family. The clock is French and is said to be a 4-glass clock that dates back to approximately 1885. Upon closer inspection, the clock's outer case gilding has gone green in several spots. The clock is worth £2,000 and will be worth more when the gilding is fixed.
Providing you can get it done by somebody who can get the color correct.
Do you have any hidden treasures like this lying around your basement? This relic of cinematic romance found its way to a local antique store. Guided by her knack for uncovering treasures, the guest mother had acquired this piece for about $150. This piece, a plywood tableau sculpted by hand, was designed for a rustic cabin once owned by cowboys. Intricately cut on a table saw, this artwork was inspired by a classic 1938 romantic comedy.
This was actually inspired by the 1938 film. It was a classic.
Amazing.
A romantic comedy. Yeah, The Cowboy and the Lady.
Crafted with care, the sculpture was beautifully made, completely out of plywood.
Jeans are great because some of the varnishes come off and they expose the earlier blue.
Oh, I see.
Every detail, from the vibrant red cowboy boots to the exposed blue of the jeans, adds a layer of charm. Can you guess the value of this masterpiece?
We put an insurance value on this of about $1,800, $1,800.
My goodness, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
that's crazy. That's just crazy.
Take a long look at this item and try to guess what it is. It's actually a Rockwood Valentine vase. You will agree with me when I say it has quite an unusual shape for a vase. It was done by the Rockwood Pottery Company of Cincinnati, Ohio, and designed by an artist named Albert Valentine. An early signature of Rockwood and Valentine can be seen together with the date it was created. At the front of the vase, it had this really sophisticated painting made with different shades of gray. How did the guest come to own this unique piece of art?
This vase was given to my great-grandmother in Cincinnati, Ohio, as a wedding present.
At auction, the vase could be worth $1,000 to $1,500. The guest brought circa 1931 Thurston the Magician lobby cards that was collected by her father-in-law to the show. These lobby cards were used to promote Thurston's first ever performance in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The first card shows two little devils whispering into a man's ear. This image illustrates a cryptic means of suggesting the possibility of interacting with dark magic, a common theme Thurston used to draw crowds to his show. The second poster shows Thurston performing levitation magic on a woman in a white dress, accompanied by text that reads, "She floats all over the stage and into the audiences below." These are very rare posters with solid historical precedent backing them. The estimated value for these posters should be around $1,000 to $1,500. This man has absolutely no idea of the worth of this water painting he brought on the show. He believes it was collected by his great-grandmother on a trip she made to the West. It's a watercolor painting made by Olaf Carl Seltzer, a Danish-born American painter from Great Falls, Montana. Seltzer is famous for his landscape paintings. He was taught how to paint by Charles Russell, a renowned American Western artist. Olaf's signature can be seen on the painting, as well as the date it was created. The painting was made in the earliest part of his artistic career. At auction, this painting would bring in about $8,000 to $12,000.
Wow. Quite impressive.
This is a piece of history, an impactful speech typed and signed by the legendary physicist Albert Einstein. It was acquired by the guest father-in-law during his time at Yale. Einstein was a German physicist who is believed to be one of the greatest scientists of all time. The document carries Einstein's thoughts on technological progress and its impact on humanity. Passed down through generations of physicists, this transcript captures a moment when Einstein addressed the student body at Caltech in 1931. Einstein's words, encapsulated in this transcript, ponder the paradox of technological advancements.
In it, he is talking about whether or not technological advancements are a good thing for humanity.
The mystery of its origin only adds to the allure of this document. Whether a transcript for a press distribution or the speech itself, Einstein's signature transformed it into a unique item. So, how much do you think this piece of intellectual history would be worth?
But conservatively at auction, I would estimate this at $10,000 to $20,000.
Ever heard of the Wright brothers? Orville Wright and Wilbur Wright were the first persons to invent and fly the first successful motor-powered airplane. This collection of photographs was given to the guest by a friend of hers. This photo shows the landing of the first airplane to cross from France to Dover, England. Its pilot at the time was a famous French pilot, Blériot.
Third photograph is of the Wright brothers plane in the foreground and another plane modeled after the Wright brothers behind it.
Most of these photos were taken by an unknown picture agency.
On the back you see the stamp. It's called Rapide, and it says reproduction is prohibited, that they're copyrighted.
The photograph in the center that shows the crashing of the Blériot plane is worth $1,000 to $1,500. The photograph of Blériot's plane landing in Dover is worth $1,500 to $3,500. The entire collection of about 40 photographs would be worth an estimated $7,000 to $10,000.
Wow. That's pretty good. I was estimating maybe 200.
English decanter tickets are a type of collectible item that originated in England. They are small paper or cardboard tickets that one often attached to decanters or bottles of spirits or beverages. The guest husband had inherited these collectibles from his grandmother. This decanter ticket was made in the earlier Georgian period. These were made in the 18th century. This is from George IV period. They were made by various English silversmiths, and some of them have their maker mark on them. The more obscure names like Holland and Mountains are more desirable.
Here, it's about 20 pieces. I would say you'd be in the $4,000 to $6,000 range for the collection at auction.
Excellent.
From the vibrant tapestry of fashion history, this colorful fiesta dress emerges, a relic from the 1950s. Crafted by the skilled hands of designer Alita Wilson of Santa Fe Designs. According to the guest, this dress was a gift.
This was a gift to my aunt in the early 50s, and it was
given to my aunt by the designer, Alida Wilson of Santa Fe Designs.
A closer look at the dress shows that every stitch tells a tale of craftsmanship. Rows of rickrack embellish the bolero and skirt, creating a dazzling effect under the light. In the realm of fashion, this fiesta dress has an estimated value between $600 and $800. This is Lambert the Clown Magician Automation. Its movement is powered by a series of gears, levers, and springs to create a lifelike performance.
He waves his wand 3 times and reveals a watch.
Automation like Lambert were popular in the 18th and 19th centuries. This piece of art was called a toy by the owner.
This toy was purchased by my grandfather in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
However, it's not a toy. It's an automation, and it's almost like a museum piece. How much do you think it's worth?
In remarkable condition, and I would say on today's market would bring anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000.
My God.
This beautiful, iconic piece of art is the work of Joseph H. Davis. Joseph was an American painter who is well known for his double portrait of married couples. He loved lively and decorative patterns and bold designs like the one on the carpet. The guest brought the painting from his home.
This is an original painting which has been hanging in my house since it was originally painted in 1836.
The painting has the image of the guest's grandparents. The way the floor cloth is painted shows Joseph's understanding of the pattern, line, and color. There is a picture of a blacksmith making a wagon wheel, a painting of a cat on the floor, and a holy book on the table. This beautiful piece is worth $40,000 to $50,000 at auction. This Klinger pocket globe found its way onto the Roadshow. The owner inherited it from his grandmother, who lived in Switzerland. The maker of the globe was Mr. Johann Georg Klinger, a famous German map and globe maker. He was in the business of making globes, and when he died, Karl Abel continued the business as C. Abel Klinger to keep the legacy of the founder. The pocket globe is made to fit into this faux leather box. The cover is beautifully designed with images.
On the bottom of the base, we have the original price sticker, still with the original ink.
Yeah.
If we look very carefully, we see a maker on here.
At auction
today, I would estimate it between $2,000 and $2,500.
Wow.
If you sold it today.
That's great.
One would intriguingly wonder what this is. It looks like foil paper, but indeed it's a sculpture made by Noah Purifoy. Noah Purifoy was an African-American visual artist and sculptor. The guest's husband got it as a gift from Noah, who was his colleague at the time.
In my home for 50 years.
The Watt riot inspired Watt to work on this amazing piece with the guest husband. The sculpture was made of debris and materials scavenged from the Watts Rebellion. These materials were fused together to form the sculpture. For such a rare and historic gem, insurance is a great idea. It can be insured for $125,000.
You're kidding me.
This lady had no idea the value of what she had placed over her stove in her kitchen.
It's been in our family since about 1970. We bought it in Rhode Island. Didn't even realize it was a Picasso until about 5 years ago.
The Medora plate has a unique oval shape and is adorned with Picasso's signature abstract and playful design.
Some are jugs, some are figures, and some are dishes of different shapes. Picasso did a lot of these special editions for the Medora studio.
Pablo Picasso was not only a renowned painter, he was also a skilled ceramicist. The Medora oval plate by Picasso is a fascinating piece.
This tells us that they made 100 of them.
Okay.
And this is number 23 of 100.
The lady had acquired it for about $100, but now it's worth thousands of dollars.
I love you too.
That's fabulous.
That's fabulous.
This is an 18th century French orbit clock. The owner of this golden piece bid $1,000 for it at an auction and won. The clock has holes drilled at its front for the winding.
This meant that it has a pendulum instead of a balance wheel, which is the earlier type. And so when you wound it, you didn't have to turn it around and disrupt the pendulum.
It has an annular ring above, which represents the minutes, and another below representing the hour. The clock is made out of a fusion of gold and mercury and has a plain brass inside. This piece was also made of many intricately cast pieces. At auction, just the clock itself is worth $25,000 to $30,000. For the complete piece together with its candelabra,
I think it would be fair to say that they would run over $60,000 if they're as in good condition as this is and as fine.
Wonderful.
this is a red and white chalk drawing by Richard Cosway. He was the leading portrait miniaturist of the Regency era. He made his first painting of George IV in 1780. This one is a painting of his wife, Maria Cosway. His signature can be seen in the corner of the painting. At auction, this painting would be worth $10,000 to $20,000.
Really? Oh, that's terrific. That means a lot to me because that was the person I inherited from it. It was a very important thing to her, and I was so thrilled to get it from their family.
One of the youngest collectors on the show came along with an Albert Neuhaus watercolor painting. He got it at an auction in South Jersey for $2. Albert Neuhaus' signature can be seen in the painting. Albert was part of the Hague School group of artists who focused on capturing the Dutch countryside and everyday family life. How much do you think it's worth?
What do you think it might be worth today?
$150.
Do you think the kid's right? Well, he isn't. At auction, the painting will sell between $1,000 to $1,500.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This log cabin inkwell is a fascinating piece of pottery created by the famous American potter George Orr in the late 19th century. George Orr was known as the Mad Potter of Biloxi. He made a lot of weird and unusual shaped pottery vases and bowls in the late 19th and early 20th century. This unique piece is shaped like a log cabin, complete with windows and a chimney.
His work was so weird that most people didn't like them enough to want to buy him, and he was so weird that most people that wanted to buy him, he wouldn't sell it to them anyway. So George Orr was always short on cash.
The guest had acquired it for $400. At the bottom, you will see the die stamp, George Orr designation. What is it worth?
I think today at auction, the value is somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
This is a magnificent pair of English Howdah hunting pistols, but the guest doesn't know where they came from, except that they were given to his father by his grandfather. The Howdah pistol was a large handgun made for hunting big game in India and Africa in the 19th century British era. The coat of arms on the pistol grip and the accompanying stamps give away its British origin. The name on the barrel, Pedro Salmon, is clearly the owner, but there's no sign of the maker. Judging from the mounts, the hallmarks, and the lion mask butts, they were made in 1846. So how much would having an incognito maker reduce its value on the market?
Current auction market value would be about $15,000 to $20,000.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That was a little more than I was thinking, but that's great.
The guest parents bought this beautiful painting in Landskrona Skina about 20 years ago.
This rather scrawly signature is that of an artist called Arthur Hacker.
It was designed by Arthur Hacker, an English painter who has mastered realistic plein-air painting. He is popularly known for painting religious scenes and portraits. The item is believed to have been painted during the First World War.
And that is how Arthur Hacker paints. He uses these pure glazes on a white ground. So you get these glowing colors.
The painting is worth between £6,000 to £10,000.
£6,000 to £10,000.
Dear.
Another work of art makes its way to the show. This piece belonged to the guest husband's aunt in the 1950s. This sculpture was of little aesthetic appeal to the guest than her husband.
We used to argue about whether it would go on the mantelpiece in the living room or a less conspicuous spot.
The sculpture was made by the artist Solon Borglum. Solon was the brother of the artist Gutzon Borglum, who is the famous sculptor of Mount Rushmore.
And he studied in Cincinnati at the Art Academy there, and he also studied in Paris with Emmanuel Fremier, who was one of the leading sculptors of the time.
This sculpture is titled The Blizzard.
And what we see here is this cowboy huddled against his horse. You get this wonderful feeling for movement.
One interesting thing about Borglum also was that he lived in the West. This gave more authenticity to his ideas and works. The appraiser values this piece at
$8,000.
In 2013, the value rose to between $20,000 and $30,000. What do you think the value will be in today's market? Let us know in the comments. This lamp was purchased for $125. You're not going to believe how much it's worth.
She said $125.
This stunning piece of art was crafted by the son of the founder of Tiffany Studios, Louis Comfort Tiffany. He is an American decorative artist and designer known for his exceptional craftsmanship and innovative use of stained glass. This Tiffany Studios rose helmet lamp features a gorgeous stained glass shade with an elaborate floral design.
I can count on one hand how many times I've seen this base. It's so unusual. This is a situation where the base is almost as great as the shade, and then are repeated in a slightly different style moving up towards the top of the base. Over the years, the bases and the shades can get separated.
The base has a wonderful Art Nouveau quality, and the design is called Arc and Leaf.
Congratulations.
The finish on the base is an unusual one for a Tiffany studio lamp. It's called the Etched Doré finish.
You would find them in the homes of many of the people who belong to New York society. Oh, I have to give you guys a hug. Isn't it great to get news? Oh.
Retail value, a few years later, is worth around $250,000 to $350,000.
Mom had a good eye.
Now that's some price for a lamp. The guest father served with the 3rd Infantry during World War II. The jacket is a standard issue dress jacket, also known as an Eisenhower or Ike jacket, with various insignia that tell the story of his service. The jacket features theater-made insignia, the Combat Infantryman's badge, Good Conduct Medal, and American Campaign Medal. The jacket also has a theater-made Battle Patrol patch and a fourragère cord, making it more valuable than a standard issue jacket, potentially worth around $800. The knife, likely a theater-made fighting knife, features a French blade with multicolored spacers and a hand-tooled scabbard, and would be valued at around $800. Together, the jacket and knife set could be worth around $2,000 to $2,500 at auction, highlighting the value and significance of the guest father's service.
Lord have mercy. It's great, and you should be certainly proud of your father's service.
Very much.
Our guest came with a set of plates and ceramic decorative figures. The sets of plates are made of tin-glazed earthenware. These plates date back to 1750. It is believed they were made by Strasbourg or Niederwiller. It imitates the Chinese porcelain. It was made in Europe, and it's quite fragile. They are estimated to be worth 400 to 600 pounds. One would wonder about the worth of these ceramic figures. This one was made by a renowned French artist, Emile Galli. Her signature can be seen on the bottom of the cat.
Hanging around the cat is a dog's medallion, which I think is a lovely idea.
He is famous for his glass and ceramic decorative figures. Guest got it for 70 pounds, and it could be worth around 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. The second ceramic figure is a copy by an unknown artist. The guest got it for 20 pounds, and its worth is 150 to 180 pounds. Imagine unwrapping a gift from a friend who's a seasoned traveler, only to discover a piece of history nestled within the layers of its packaging. The current owner received this unique piece as a gift from a friend who loves to travel. It's called Amphora Telplitz pottery and comes from a place called Turn Telplitz in Bohemia. There's a special mark on the bottom that shows the person who made it graduated from a top-notch school for pottery. This piece was probably made between 1905 and 1910, and it has a cool Art Nouveau style with an elephant design. The elephant motif is sure to captivate collectors with an affinity for these majestic creatures. The appraiser says it's really special and not like the usual stuff you see. Normally, pieces like this sell for a few $100s, but because this one is so awesome, it could go for $2,000 to $3,000 at auction. So, it's definitely something worth holding on to.
He's probably going to want it back now.
This piece of furniture was acquired for $100 by the guest at an auction for just one reason.
And I bought it because it's pink.
It is a tufted side chair made by John Jelliff. He was a famous cabinet maker known for making custom-order sophisticated furniture. The chair has specific features. It has the flat crest and his trademark, which is the medallion in the center, which is Christopher Columbus. Anyone who knows John Jelliff furniture can identify it just by looking at the legs.
Again, the way this leg comes down, this is very much a Jelliff hallmark, and a tapering leg, then expanding into this ball foot too. So.
Okay.
The chair is valued at $300 to $500. Gaze on this fine piece of woodwork. Its artistic styling and beautiful craftsmanship show the depth of man's talent. This miniature salesman's sample desk belonged to the guest's great-great-great-grandfather, who hailed from Jamestown, New York. The miniature roll-top desk comes in its original carrying case, a bonus feature for any salesman sample.
The roll-top desk is an iconic piece of American furniture from the late 19th century, and it was really a mechanical marvel.
This piece is said to date back to the 1890s. The desk also has a unique opening file system feature that slides in and out of the desk. The appraiser values it at about
$4,000 to $6,000.
My goodness, that's awesome.
Can you tell me what these are? These are Keto bracelets. It was commonly used by hunters who used bows as their principal weapon.
They are bow guards, and so you would wear it on your left wrist if you were right-handed. When you pull back the bowstring and let the arrow fly, the string could really smack you on the inside of your wrist.
The guest came along with her Navajo and Zuni Keto bracelet collection.
My mom started me on this collection probably 6 or 7 years ago.
They are often made with silver and turquoise. The straps at the back are made of leather. This one is made of silver, jet, coral, and turquoise. A star design can be seen on the strap of this one. The colorful one would sell for $350 to $500 at the retail price. This one is worth $1,500 to $2,500.
That's my favorite by far. And then the one closer to you that's similar, also I think in the neighborhood of $1,500 to $2,000.
Altogether, this collection would be valued at about $6,500 to $7,000.
Wow. It's a terrific collection. They're just great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing them.